Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Bitcoin had a crazy weekly close, but was it really as good as everybody is making it seem? I do want to keep this stream short because I caught a nasty cold. My throat is killing me here, but we are finally seeing some trading levels near that 70K. Of course, you all know I've had this level on my radar since August now. So I really felt like I had to give my opinion on the situation. Sorry, guys, bear with me. I'm having a hard time, but I'm going to try and get through this quickly. Guys, I'm getting private messages every single day that there's any bullish price action saying things like, what do you think now? How do you feel about your bearish opinions now? Literally nothing has changed for me, you guys. I still have my head on my shoulders. I'm not flip-flopping my ideas at all. We did not break my 70K macro level here. And so literally nothing has changed for me. If anything, I saw it as an even better shorting opportunity because we finally tested up towards that level of interest for me. And like I said, since we bottomed in August at about 49K, I've been talking about this weekly high here. That's my lower high on the macro level. And yeah, since that hasn't changed, neither has my opinion, right? So I understand the bulls look strong as hell, you guys. They do every single time we trade at resistance, but look at this from a risk reward type of trading setup. Not so much spot holding, but as actual traders. We basically got within $600 of my invalidation to my bearish theories. All Bitcoin had to do for me to change my tune is close above 70K. And so far, it hasn't been able to break it. So here's where the risk reward comes into play. My invalidation to the upside is basically if we break out of the macro range I've had laid out from 70K down to 49K since we bottomed in August, invalidation the other direction is dropping below the 49K lows. And although I know that feels impossible right now, nothing is impossible. So where is the tighter risk in that case? This is why I continue to be bearish at these levels, you guys. It's not so much that I'm bearish on crypto as a whole. I'm just looking at it at the better risk setup from a trader's perspective. It's not like I'm out of all my spot positions. No, absolutely nothing like that. My investments will do their thing. But as an actual trader, I'm still looking at the structure as bearish for now. And we're so close to changing that, you guys. Don't get me wrong. We are so close. We just haven't quite broke that level that I won't shut up about. And until that changes, my opinion will not. So I just want to basically take a look at the weekly charts here, making this comparison. Okay. So I'm seeing a lot of FOMO because, hey, we got this big, beautiful weekly candle. We closed above this structure back here. A lot of people are looking at it as, hey, we got a higher high from here. I personally don't care about that one because that's the middle of a range. The bigger range is still, this is our lower high. This is our lower low on the macro scale of things. So the fact that we closed above these candle bodies, yes, you know what? That is good to see. But my opinion, and you guys know for months now, my level of interest has been 70K. And if anything, I'm looking at this as, there's a possibility that this is just, we close that candle body basically right in double top territory of our lower high structure. So yes, obviously that can break. If we break that level, my opinion is still the same, right? Because here's the thing, guys. Even if we're bullish right now, it would make sense to pull back. Like what we've got so far today. I mean, this isn't really the type of move, what we've seen today so far. That's not the type of bearish move I'm talking about. That's just the start, if anything, if we are going to get it. But if we are going to continue playing out bullishly, like there is the chance that we're just pulling back into this candle body, right? I mean, every time frame, it makes perfect sense that you at least test into the previous candle. Pretty much every candle in existence does that. Not all, obviously, but most do on all time frames. So the weekly is no different. So yes, it's absolutely possible this is just a pullback. It's just that, to pretend that there's no red flags would be an error, in my opinion. Just from that risk reward, like, yes, we're trading at resistance. So just understand that this whole level, and that goes for the bears too. You just got to be cautious at this level because we're at a make or break point, in my opinion. We are right at that lower high structure that I've been talking about for months now. If we break that, the structure of the chart, in my opinion, has changed at that point. So, as bears, I don't want to get blindsided either. If we do break out, that's why I have my invalidations, right? But I also don't want to be FOMOing long right into the peak level of resistance, which I've seen a lot of people doing on social media and that sort of thing. Um, One thing that I do see that is nice, I've talked about this in the past, the RSI did break this weekly downtrend. There's several touch points there. I love to see that. In my opinion, that's a valid breakout. The thing, and you guys know, this is basically what started me to be bearish back. Catching all of these downswings here is one of the main things was this exact bearish divergence I was looking at, right? Going from extreme overbought conditions down to regular territory, double toppy kind of area, just like kind of what we have now. But basically that divergence, and we have eventually broke that downtrend. The thing is, guys, this actually caught my eye today because there's a few interesting correlations with this. We've seen this before, and although history does not need to repeat itself, it's something definitely worth looking into and just considering as a possibility, right? I actually want to bring up my other chart because I have this indicator set up here. Same thing, right? We still have this RSI line break, still have my horizontal lines here. So yes, it's great that we broke above the candle bodies, but not above the wicks there. Something to consider here is notice where we traded up to. We basically traded right up to that sell signal that the ALGO master indicator has printed. And I warned about this a couple weeks ago. But we basically traded up to that level. So when a sell signal like this triggers, I mean, that's not saying go short right now, but if you can get a retest of that level, that's where you can get into a nice position with a nice tight invalidation. So the fact that that's lining up very nicely with my resistance is absolutely beautiful. So that's just another little red flag that I'm seeing, right? So I'm just not going to ignore that. Yes, it doesn't have to work out. They don't always play out. There has been one of these signals that never played out before. Every other signal on the weekly time frame has called for at least a 50% move to the downside. Here's my thing, guys. If we actually look at where we had this COVID dump, I've made this comparison before. It's basically why I've been saying for a long time that I think it's possible that we get some sort of a final shakeout from these levels. Although I don't think it's the end of the bull market. Don't put those words in my mouth. I don't think it's the end of the bull market, but I think a big final and actual shakeout could be looming. Is because, again, going back to that RSI divergence, we had the same thing right around COVID, right when we had our initial rally of that bull market, right? And we had the same kind of structure where all of a sudden we started losing these higher lows and we started testing these lower highs. And we had that same structure as we just got on last night's candle closes where, yeah, the candle bodies closed above the candle bodies of the previous lower high, but we could not close above the wick there. And it also came up to that sell signal there. And lo and behold, yes, you can say that, hey, oh, this doesn't count because it was COVID, it was a black swan event. Well, the indicator called it several months in advance. And when we tested that, it absolutely played out. So again, history does not need to repeat itself. It's just, it looks very similar to me. And being that I've just been kind of watching that level for months now, we still haven't broken that downtrend. In my opinion, there's a bunch of black swan events looming. I mean, just we have uncertain elections, we have wars escalating, we have so many things for a potential black swan event. Obviously, again, does not have to happen. It's just something to keep in the back of your mind. Going back to this RSI break on the weekly chart, the thing is, with any trend line or anything, typically, what do we like to see? We like to see a break of an important trend line followed by a retest. And so that's where I'm kind of on the fence of, yes, we have this bullish breakout of the RSI, but what happens if we actually come all the way back down over the next, month or two and end up retesting this? Where would that end up putting the price, right? It could be significantly lower. And just comparing it to with COVID, because like I said, it had that same bearish divergence out of extreme overextended conditions down into regular territory, get that divergence. We do break out. But then even with that breakout, with all the other bearish things that I had pointed out, we did end up getting that, what was it, 70% move to the downside, 60% move to the downside. And notice that with that RSI, that's exactly what I'm talking about here, is even though we had the bullish breakout way back here when the price was over here, we still ended up getting that retest of that trend line. And that obviously absolutely devastated the price very briefly. It was a final shakeout. It wasn't a reason to get bearish on the macro trend as if, like, you know, that's the end of the bull market kind of thing. It was just a big final shakeout, and then we went absolutely parabolic. Honestly, if we got this kind of a thing within the next couple months, it would make me more bullish than ever. I know everybody would be panicking, thinking, you know, you'd see the headlines, Bitcoin's died for the 570th time. And the media would try and scare you into selling. But really at that point, that's where if we get that kind of a move, I'm going to have limit orders set everywhere to be spot buying. So like, that's the most bullish scenario for me. I would be so happy to get that. I personally don't know if I'm lucky enough to get that. So, I mean, there's so many what ifs between now and then, you guys. Obviously, I'm not saying that we have to absolutely nuke from here, but the structure is still there saying that it could happen is my only thing. So again, if the weekly chart changes, if we close a candle above this 70K, just because, you know what, even a 4 hour, I'll give you a 4 hour. If you can get a 4 hour to close above my macro lower high structure, we haven't seen that since March. It's been 8 months since we broke a lower high structure on the 4 hour chart. And until that happens, I won't change my opinion, is basically how I'm looking at it. Even if, you know, looking for additional confirmations here. Let me just flip this to, actually, no, back to the 4 hour chart. I like bringing up the liquidations too, just to see where liquidity is. If I bring up the high leverage liquidation levels, every single one basically is to the downside. So if the market maker wants to grab some liquidity, I think it would absolutely make sense to give that push to the downside. Does it have to happen? No, I'm not trading based just on this indicator, but it's absolutely, you know, something worth considering. Does it make sense that the price would go lower? I mean, I think it would make sense. As well from just a structure point of view here. Actually, I want to go back to this chart. I'm just going to open up a new one. Want to remove drawings. Going to the daily chart, bringing up the auto charting tools, something caught my eye earlier, is those levels that I'm pointing out on the weekly chart. Notice that my auto charting tools is actually agreeing with this as that structure. Notice how close we got, but we never quite got there. That's right at that 70K level. And then notice what's happening with this immediate swing on the daily chart. With this push we've had so far, I mean, the candle hasn't closed yet, but we're losing this higher low structure, just like what happened back here. You know, back in March on the 4 hour, that's what started this whole downtrend, and why we haven't been able to break all-time highs. That happened back in March. The same kind of thing that's happening on the daily right now. So it's just another red flag that the daily might be a little overextended, and it might be losing its trend here, losing its trend right near that daily and weekly resistance, right? So again, it's not so much that I'm bearish on crypto as a whole, you guys. I'm very bullish on crypto. I fucking love crypto. It's just the fact, looking at this from which way I should be trading the market and hoping to catch a longer swing position kind of a thing. To me, it just makes sense to be eyeing up the downside. Yes, like, you know what? Yesterday I was in a long position. I know I'm openly bearish, and I've been so bearish, and I seem like a perma bear. I've still been playing long positions, you guys. It's just that for where I picture the market going, I'm just open to the idea that all-time highs in the next couple of weeks is not promised. It's not guaranteed. We're not entitled to it. The market does not give a shit what our opinions are. It's going to do what it's going to do. And, you know, when the chart structure changes, so will my opinion, because as traders, we need to be able to react better, more so than be able to predict. Predictions are great. They help you react. But the reactions, the execution on your positions, that's really all that matters. You can be wrong on your analysis, and you can still make a ton of money, just like you can nail your analysis and you can lose money anyways. So at the end of the day, it's the reaction, it's the execution that matters. And to me, it's just right now, I mean, I'm more open to the idea of downside. I'm just playing the short side more aggressively. I'm still willing to play the long side. I'm just a little more cautious because we're near resistance levels. We break that, that changes. That's basically my opinion on that. Basically on the 1 minute here, what led me to take a little bit of a short this morning, I actually missed my ideal short opportunity. One thing that I love to show with these indicators, just going to take off the charting tools. I'm going to bring up the ALGO master here. One thing that I love to watch for here is which way the buy and sell signals are trending. And just as we ended up getting near that 70K, notice all of a sudden we printed a lower sell signal here. And then we started getting lower buys, lower sells. Yeah, flip-flopping a little in the ranges, but for the most part, they're just moving to the downside. And as well with the auto charting tools, we just ended up starting to see a whole way more of the red pivot points, right? Way more lower highs, lower lows than the opposite. So the indicators just kind of helping me spot the trend as well, right? Because that's really what I love using them for. I'm more of a structure guy first, and then looking at indicators to get that validation, to get that additional confluence on my positions and that sort of thing. And this is basically one that that I've mentioned basically in every stream, that I like to look for those Stuber fib pulls. So fib pulls to the 786, 886 after a lower high signal. If I'm looking for a short, for example, that's what led me to take this short here earlier this morning. Yeah, it's too bad I missed my more optimal entries last night. But like I said, I'm battling a flu. I'm having a hard time here. And I was basically out on the couch and I missed a good opportunity there, but it is what it is. Ended up hitting this one. And I have started taking profits. You can see my green line here. I also have my stop losses at break even, and I have a couple partial stop losses on the way up if we start breaking these structure levels, just to make sure that I pay myself more on this position if it does reverse on me. Because at any time, I mean, we're starting to see warnings on the shorter time frames, right? I'm not trading the 1 minute chart and expecting that I'm going to get that full weekly move. You know, oh, I entered on the 1 minute chart, I'm going to be able to sit in this short for the next month. Nothing like that. So I still got to make sure I pay myself, right? But yeah, for now, I am still favoring the downside. And yeah, so far the indicators are agreeing. If all of a sudden we start printing, oh, that's a higher buy signal, so that's a bit of a warning. Had I not already taken some profits around these levels, I would have been looking at closing part of my position. I'm not necessarily bullish yet. We don't have the buy and sell signals agreeing on the direction yet, but it is just a bit of a warning that we had a higher buy signal here. Just another way that I like to use the indicators. I know a lot of people just like using indicators, trying to force themselves into more entries and stuff like that, really only using them to get into positions. But I like to use them for so much more. I personally almost prefer indicators for risk management, when to take profits, when to see warning signs, all that sort of stuff. So absolutely beautiful. If these MDX algo indicators do interest you, there is a link down below that gives an additional 10% discount on top of current promotions at the MDX algo checkout. Again, easily my favorite indicators on TradingView. I have been using them every single day for more than 2 years now at this point. The only other indicator I really use on the market is that RSI, just for that very specific divergence that I like looking for. Other than that, I'm all about these indicators, and there's a whole bunch of them that I don't even use, but just absolutely beautiful. Sometimes it feels like I don't even have to do charting anymore because it maps out the resistance and support automatically and everything. So pretty wild stuff. I'm just going to go through the comments here. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. Like I said, I am having a hard time today. Sorry if I'm not as perky and I'm having a hard time talking and swallowing and stuff. but I see some familiar faces. I see Viking in here. Welcome, brother. One of the head creators of these indicators, by the way. Great to see him in here. I'll have to get him on a stream someday. Hey, Viking. But yeah, you guys, if you do appreciate me going through this kind of stuff, you appreciate my calm take on the market, you appreciate seeing how I use the indicators, fib pulls, how I look at structure, and just being here with you guys when I feel like absolute shit and I want to get back to the couch. If you do appreciate it, please do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to Financial Summit here, because I do quite a few live streams here now as well as on my own YouTube channel. I have my own socials in the description down below as well. But I hope you're all having a fantastic day despite some of the bloodshed in the markets. It does look like the bulls are trying to get some sort of a short-term reversal here. Looks like we're trying to break this lower high here, so I might actually lock in a little more profits here on my short in a couple minutes here. Did I change the settings for the RSI? Yeah, I've changed my RSI a little bit. Mostly just the colors, and I just took off the moving average of the RSI. Zeus is here for the bear corn. I assume, did you mean bear porn? Oh yeah, we're getting close to my next partial stop loss here. So I'm going to lock in a little more profits if we go just a little bit higher. But yeah, guys, I honestly, I think I gotta go lay down. I am feeling like trash. I want to thank you guys so much for being here, joining me on these live streams. Always love doing these with you guys. Hopefully everything I went over today kind of makes sense. I don't want to be a little pun here, the bearer of bad news here or anything like that. Like I said, it's not that I'm a perma bear. It's just that until we break this 70K level, that's all Bitcoin has to do. I promise I'll change my opinion at least slightly as soon as we break that 70K. That's all Bitcoin has to do. It got so close and it just couldn't quite do it. So unfortunately, my opinion did not change yet. But I can't wait to be a moon boy with everybody again. I just don't quite have the structure there quite yet. We're so close. Again, we're so close. There's just those few warnings. You know, we got sell signals. We have the failure of breaking that structure. You know, if the RSI goes and does a retest, that daily lower high level, the daily losing the trend here. The DXY, I wanted to touch on this. The DXY is ripping. I understand that, yeah, it could be due for a correction at any time. Something to consider is, it bounced right in a Stuber target or Stuber support box, right? I always talk about this. Here is where we would have had our lower low. Here's our lower high. We broke that here. That's why I have this green trend line here. That's our bullish signal. But then, whereas, most people, if this were Bitcoin, people would want to start longing right there because people love trading breakouts, when in reality, pullbacks are very natural. So the fact that we came back to this 786, 886 fib pocket, it already played out once. It hit the Stuber target. If it's going to play out again, we're going to have to see. But basically, the way I treat these Fibonacci's is, yes, this would be my first take profit. So technically, as far as this nice, big, quick rally the DXY has been having, and as much as I'd love to say it looks like it's running out of steam, I mean, it's really only halfway into this channel so far on the daily. And the thing is, guys, is that 214, when I look at these fibs as a Stuber fib pull, that's my first take profit, right? That's always kind of like my range target. The second target is basically the opposing swing 786. And I mean, if I'm going to do that, that's pulling from our highs here down to where we've bottomed. That's why I have this red box up here. So if, and that's a big if, obviously on a daily, this would take a while to play out and all that sort of thing. But if this structure is going to play out, the fact that we did break out of our bearish trend right here, technically, the DXY, and especially with, you know, elections and that uncertainty of war and everything, the US dollar might end up gaining quite a bit of strength. And the second take profit, or the second target, would be way up here. And in that case, this move is only a third or a quarter of the way done. Not saying that Bitcoin and the DXY have to necessarily be opposing each other. They can absolutely move the same direction. It is possible. It is just something to be a little bit cautious of. Yeah, I'm gonna go lay down, proceeds to go through BTC again. Yeah, okay. Sorry for that. Excuse me. Yeah, guys, I think that is it. That's all I got in me. Throat and chest is telling me to quit. So thank you again so much for being here with me, you guys. Again, if you do want to try some of these MDX algo indicators that I use every single day, there is that link down below for that additional 10% discount on top of current promotions at checkout. Like I said, easily my favorite indicators out there. Anyways, guys, I think that's all I wanted to go over. Hopefully you found this stream useful. If so, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And with that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.